Hey guys, and welcome to this video. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day and it's the 5th one that I am celebrating as a single woman. I need to say this before the video can begin. It's very important for me. This video was in no way filmed out of self-pity, but I feel like no matter how content you are with your situation of being single, Valentine's Day will always be a day where you're reminded that that is what you are. And today I just want to be very transparent with how I've experienced going from being a single 22-year-old to today being a single 27-year-old. Almost, not yet, but in May. This is basically gonna be one big brain dump of thoughts from my head to you. So maybe you just wanna watch this or like listen to this as a podcast. That's possible as well. Because I'm just gonna have a chat about love and how that can feel. I don't know. Let's get started. So I became single when I was 22, and back then it felt so natural. Most of my friends were singles, so we could just spend time together. We would go out, we would share the whole dating experience, and it all felt pretty chill. There were no stress really. But then the interesting thing is that so much happens from 22 to 27. I think I've really realized over the past 5 years just how much that happens in your 20s. I think it's the decade where you can feel furthest away from your friends, because there can be such a huge jump from how one person decides to live their lives and then to another person. And it comes to both like education, love-wise, and just all of these decisions that you start to make in your 20s. There could just be such a big jump from one person to another. So to begin with, there were no stress. We were all just in this together. But slowly throughout the years, my friends started to get into relationships. And when I made it to like 25, I think, they were pretty much all settled. Then I just had one friend. He became single last year, which was like, oh great, now I'm not alone anymore. Yeah, I basically have one girlfriend left that's also single like me, but everybody else are like talking about kids, and they are talking about buying houses, moving to different parts of Denmark because of work. So it all feels very much like people are now making families, where when we were 23, it was just a whole different situation. I also think it's interesting to think that if I was in a relationship now versus when I was younger, I would get some very different questions now than I would get 5 years ago. I have some girlfriends that are talking a lot about this these days, that they are starting to get questions such as, are you pregnant? When are you gonna have kids? Like, when are you gonna when are you gonna and we're so looking forward to you having kids. And if they gain weight or if they're wearing something loose, it's one of the questions that they can experience like getting from people. Where I also think that is a big difference from when we were 22, 23. You would not ask a 22-year-old like, oh, are you gonna get kids soon? Oh, I'll be expecting that you'll get kids soon. It would just be so over the line. But even for a 27-year-old, that can be intimidating and super scary to be asked, because one thing is that you might not be ready, another thing is that you might have tried but it's not really working. There are so many things, but I also think that is an interesting jump from like, it's just 5 years, but there's such a huge difference to what you feel like you would expect from someone in a relationship. I also sometimes, even though I know it does not make sense at all because so much has changed, I sometimes compare myself to the situation that my mom was in when she was my age. I mean, when I turned 27 and I look at my mom, she had like this whole big farm because both of her parents had died at that time. So she had lost both of her parents. She had this big farm that she had to take care of, and she had 2 children at the age of 27. And then I'm just sitting here like, oh, I'm basically still in some ways living like as if I was still 20. I also have several friends by now that are planning to get children within the next year maybe, which is a little mind-blowing to me and also a little bit scary because I feel like my friends are so busy creating families that, and I know for sure, I've seen that with my brother, that when that becomes the main focus, friendships and everything that used to be most important will no longer be as important anymore because your focus will be creating your small little new family. So I'm starting to think, with my friends being so many steps ahead of me when it comes to love, that, and I'm already feeling that, I've already felt that for years, I start to feel like I'm losing them a little bit, and that it will get harder for us to meet eye to eye and understand each other's way of living and point of views in different situations. And we will maybe slowly slide away from each other a bit, which is really scary for me to think. I've sometimes spoken to a girlfriend of mine about the possibility that we would never find the right guy to have children with, and we've talked about what other options there would be, like would you get a kid alone? And she's always been really clear that she would do that when she would reach a certain age and she was ready, she would get a child on her own. Where I'm very different when it comes to this. I would never want to have kids alone. It's sometimes been a joke of mine where I've said, no, if I get kids with a guy and he then leaves me, he's gonna get the kids. And it's of course a joke, but it is how much of a nightmare it would be for me to be alone with kids. It's just a scary, scary thought for me. And just if we talk about kids in general, it's so far from where I'm at. I am not in a place where I would want kids at all. So then you might want to ask me, okay Elise, but where are you at then? Like, are you so content with being single that you just want that to continue, or what would you like for yourself? And I would definitely love, but I felt like that since I became single, I would love to at some point find the guy that I want to be with. But I'm just very picky. It's always been like that. I'm really picky. I want the guy that I go for. I want that to be the guy that I go for. I have been pretty quick, and that is also one of the scary things with how we date today, and I've spoken about that before, but I very quickly make a decision about whether this is something or not. I have seen some guys for a couple of months, like that has happened for a few times, or I've dated someone for some time, but I'm very realistic. So when I don't feel it in the long run, I will end it. So my dream, if we talk about fantasies, the dream is to find a guy and date him, get to know him, and so that he's gonna be my rock, someone that I can really count on, someone who is cheering for me and who's there when there's lows. And then slowly build up something, because another thing is that I wouldn't want to live with a guy right now. I'm not ready for that either, but I think it's because I always think of just a guy and not a particular guy. I mean, if I meet someone and I fall in love with him, it might change. I don't want to live with a guy, I don't want to have kids with a guy. But I would just like the beginning stages where you get to know someone and you fall in love and spend time together and experience things together. That's what I want. But I could definitely date a guy who had a kid. That has not been a problem for me since I became single at 22. I was like, no, if he has a child, that would be fine. But as long as I don't have to be somebody's mom, because I'm just not ready for that. I'm not ready for the time that you have to put into it. My criteria for the guys, they have also changed quite a bit. When I was around 23, I had some rules, not rules, but guidelines, and they were like, he has to have like nice connection to his family, like no family issues. He has to be into some kind of sport. I find that really attractive. He has to be ambitious and intelligent. I think those were like my main four. But by time I've just realized that chemistry is it's such a weird size. You never know when you'll meet someone and you just want to give them everything. It has happened once to me, and he was in no way living up to all of those expectations or demands. So love is such a weird size, and criteria like that, they just don't really work. So now I think I've realized that it's more up to some values, that we have to have somewhat the same values in life. I still like ambitious, it's really important for me still. And then humor is a big thing. And also them being super comfortable in themselves. Something I find really attractive in a guy is if they have this inner peace and like comfort, and they're just calm, like calm guys. I like that. I like that a lot. So Valentine's Day is tomorrow, and if you aren't in a relationship and you want to do something special for yourself, I totally recommend that. I have done that previous years and I really liked it. Some of the things that I did was to go out and do something I really enjoy. I can't do that this year, but 2 years ago I went thrifting, and I was just like walking around, going thrifting, listening to music. Then I would go by a bakery on the way home and get some cake that I really wanted, and then I would get myself flowers. But I think doing something that you really like to do outside, maybe treating yourself with something when you get back home, a small self-pamper, maybe watch a film that you really like. I recommend I Feel Pretty, Bridesmaids, maybe taking a long bath. Something that will make you feel really good. And flowers to me is like so much self-love. So those are my recommendations if you are celebrating alone and you want to do something special for yourself. Maybe message a friend who's also single, let her know that she's beautiful, intelligent, like, yeah, boost her confidence a little. And if you want to flirt, then you have the internet, and it's full of dating apps and opportunities to flirt, which I'll probably do too. So yeah, conclusion. So much has happened from being single at 23, 22 to being single at 27. There is a much bigger pressure from the society, and it starts to feel a little bit different. So I hope that at some point I'll meet a guy who will make me feel the things that I want to feel, and then I'm ready to begin something. I am. I've just been really busy, but I am ready now. So I hope that this brain dump of feelings and thoughts made sense in any way. If you have any questions or anything, then leave them down below, because I am planning to do a Q&A about once a month. I think would be lovely. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. Let me know if you're gonna celebrate Valentine's Day, or what you're gonna do, and have an amazing weekend. Bye guys. Oh, bye guys. Was this just one big long boring rant that didn't make sense?